Well, it's about 16 or 17 years ago when I first met Clive, and he was a reporter then. Things moved on, and then he got into radios, and then he got into digital watches, where I became a competitor because I was producing them on a Hughes design, and they were virtually the inventors of the digital watch. Anyway, they got us together, and I was going to go and work for Clive, but that fell asunder with the black watch, which fell to pieces if you lifted your arm up too rapidly. So on we go then to the beginning of the Spectrum ranges, right back to the Z80. And I wasn't really very much involved until the Spectrum came along. Now, when the Spectrum came along, it was the usual thing with Clive. It was under finance, and they got a lot of returns, I think between 8 and 15% returns in different times. And he didn't know what to do much with these returns, but he insisted that if a dealer sent him returns back, he'd repair them in due course. Well, the course never became due, and there's a big backlog of these. And it was a question of what was he going to do with them. And at this stage, I kind of got as an intermediary. I was getting the returns repaired and selling them again. So that way I moved several thousand Spectrums, not these Z80s and Z81s, but starting with the Spectrum. So I moved all the Spectrums through, and then I got involved with the QLs in a small way, and I started buying up stocks in batches of 50, and then suddenly there was a cancel order for QLs for Iran, and some people that didn't know anything about them got involved with them. It was a duress situation, and as a result of that I bought about 4,000 of them, which I've sold through over the years, and that's carried on. And then of course you get into the end of the QLs, when out of the blue somebody rang me up and said, "Would you like to buy 50,000 Z88s?" Well, I was taken aback. I couldn't imagine anybody having 50,000 of these. But when the Z88 came up, the Cambridge computers made them, and they went into liquidation, and that is quite a story in itself. There were about 50,000, but I got involved with a syndicate, and we sold through from that batch about 23,000. Okay, a little incidental to this. Of course, when you get these things going, you need spares and one thing and another, and they had rather a lot of bits and pieces left over. And I had these in a warehouse up in Scotland, and I wanted some of the bits there, but not all of them. But what it boiled down to is I offered them £3,000 for this lot, and they said no, we couldn't accept that. Anyway, I went through the system and found out who really owned it, which was an American company. And I spoke to the vice president of this American company, and I said I'd offer £3,000 for this stock. He said, "God," he said, "we can't sell them for that." He said, "They've got them down on the stock list here for the equivalent of £900,000. So I said, "Well, can't believe it." Anyway, as time moves on, it gets to the stage where I got the okay to go and buy any bits and pieces that I wanted. So that time moves on again, and I followed this up. And they said, "Oh, it's funny you should come back to us just now. We had a big fire a couple of weeks ago, and all the spares were burned."
Oh no!
So there we are. It was better for them to get the 900,000, to get 30 or 40,000 pounds insurance than to sell them to me. So that was the end of Z88s, and it's gone on like that. And now I'm in a position where I've got spares and bits and pieces for practically the full range of Sinclair product, and I just sell them on a mail order business and at various QL and Sinclair shows that I go to. But I'm feeling this is going to come to an end fairly soon, but I keep on saying this, and maybe I'll see you all again in the near future.
That actually leads me nicely into the next question, Bill, because you're in your 80s now. You're in 84, I believe, next birthday.
Yeah.
What is it that makes Bill Richardson tick at this sort of time of your life and still keep doing this sort of thing?
Struggling to stay alive.
But surely, I mean, retirement has cropped up a few times. So.
Well, I've retired 3 times so far. I don't know whether I'm going to retire again, but I'm not in business now. I just do it as a one-man band. What's interesting about the Sinclair aspects of the story, when he first, well, I think with the Spectrum, he didn't make any software, and as you know, he was buying stock in.
Of course, from other companies.
From various suppliers. Kempston is one that's famous, and you know all the software manufacturers. And then we, in conjunction with Smiths, we got involved with producing utilities and business programs for the Spectrum initially, and then for the QL. And this was becoming quite a big business. I was touching on a sort of $1 million a year then, which was quite a lot.
Significant,
then,
yeah.
now.
You consider it's
but,
15 years ago or more.
Well, that's all finished because when he got into some disrepute and went into liquidation, all the suppliers of product were blocked off by the banks who got together and virtually closed down all the people who were supplied anything to do with Sinclair in any shape or form. So that was the end of that little bit. But Oxford Computer Publishing was the name of my company then, and we produced a range of, including only 2 for the QL, but we produced a range of about 20 titles of software, which we sold through various people.
About the QL, have you much stock in QL stuff left at the moment?
Bits and pieces. As far as complete QLs are concerned, probably it's down to the 20s or 30s, and as you know, the whole future is very much dependent on the availability of membranes. I mean, I bought the last batch of membranes that were used in the QLs and stuck my neck out for many thousands of pounds, and I bought about 5,000 membranes for the QL and a couple of thousand for the Spectrum Plus, and they're all coming to an end. So it's a good time to talk about getting out of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, the good news is that there may be a new membrane on the horizon from our American friends. They're actually working on one at the moment. So whether that sees the light of day, hopefully it will.
I think I shall probably not get too deeply involved with that.
Not at this stage of your life, anyway. Okay, Bill, thanks very much for taking the time out to talk to us.
Pleasure.
And we wish you all the best for the future.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.